Veteran newscaster Terry Moran from ABC News was fired yesterday, due to putting out a tweet that criticized Donald Trump and his, I guess he's deputy chief of staff, Stephen Miller, who is pretty much running his immigration policy and just about anything else that's going through the White House. Stephen Miller, as you know, is Goebbels reincarnated. He is full on authoritarian fascist, and he is an angry boy. He's very mad. If you look at Stephen Miller, you can understand why. He's ugly. He's short. He looks like his breath stinks. He looks like he couldn't get laid in a morgue. And he is filled with anger and vitriol and bile. And Terry Moran, over a couple of nights ago, puts out a tweet. Let's take a look and see what it has to say. He puts out a tweet, and I think they quoted it here. It says, Miller is a man who is richly endowed with the capacity for hatred. He's a world-class hater. You can see this just by looking at him, because you can see that his hatreds are his spiritual nourishment. He eats his hate, the journalist tweeted in part. Well, that was enough for ABC to fire him, because we have seen in the past, not in the recent past, that major news corporations are all bending the knee to Trump. Whether it's CBS trying to do their deal with Paramount and this with ABC. If you guys recognize, take a look at him. Terry Moran, about, I don't know, like a month ago, he was literally in the Oval Office talking to Donald Trump about Abrego Garcia. And Donald Trump was insisting that the photoshopped MS-13 on his knuckle was an actual tattoo. And Terry Moran's like trying to get off the subject, which honestly, that was a poor decision on his part. He should have been very dogged about it. He'd have been like, oh, okay, well, let's dig into this a little bit further, and call over one of his, handlers to say, hey, bring me that photo again so I can show Donald Trump that is Photoshop. Anyway, Donald Trump wasn't having it. He criticized him. I think it says something about that in this. Terry Moran's employment with ABC has been terminated after the journalist shared a Twitter post criticizing the president. We are at the end of our agreement with Terry Moran based on his recent past, which was a clear violation of ABC's new policies. We have made the decision to not renew. At ABC, we hold all of our reporters to the highest standards of objectivity, fairness, and professionalism. Well, honestly, reading that tweet about Stephen Miller, that was absolutely objective, fair, and professional. I mean, where is he wrong? Stephen Miller is full of hate. Look at the dude. He is angry as the day is fucking long. That is one angry young man. And I mean, good God, it's like there's so many of these conservative, fascist wannabe dictator types that if they had just gotten laid, or if they'd just gotten a job. I mean, Adolf Hitler wanted to be an artist, but he wasn't a very good artist, so he just went the political route. Ben Shapiro wanted to write scripts in Hollywood, but he wasn't a very good script writer, so he ended up going in a different direction, and now he's, a right-wing news pundit who has nothing but vitriol for anybody on the left, and especially Hollywood types that wouldn't hire him. Stephen Miller, yet again, another dude who used to work for Jeff Sessions, and he was directly responsible. Stephen Miller was directly responsible for the very first Muslim ban that happened in Donald Trump's first term. That was all Stephen Miller. That's him. And, Jeff Sessions was Donald Trump's first attorney general, which he ended up having to fire because Jeff Sessions recused himself for going, I can't make a judgment over this. I'm directly involved. And Donald Trump's like, that's not being loyal. You need to go after everybody that I want you to go after. He's like, look, I'm the attorney general for the United States. I'm not your attorney general. Well, Donald Trump has since rectified that in his new term. And, in this second term, he got himself Bam Bondi, who is his lawyer, where Donald Trump actually refers to her as his lawyer. That's not your lawyer, Don. That's the United States Attorney General. That is not Donald Trump's lawyer. That's like Donald Trump saying, they hate America. They're always protesting America. No, honey, they are protesting you. You are not America. You happen to be the president of the United States, but you are not America. And when people are out there protesting you, doesn't mean that they hate this country. They hate what you are doing to it. Anyway, and to see if there's anything else. Prior to his termination, the 65-year-old news reporter was suspended after he shared an incendiary social media post about Stephen Miller, the president, Homeland Security advisor, and the deputy chief of staff for policy on June 8th. So just a couple of days ago. He says that they're both world-class haters, which is absolutely true. Trump is a world-class hater, but his hatred is only a means to an end. And that end is his own glorification. That's his spiritual nourishment. This is an unhinged and unacceptable White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt, who, by the way, is another psycho who is just there to run cover for the president, and she will lie. I mean, honestly, press secretary is just a paid liar. It doesn't matter who the president is. That's what the press secretary's job is. But Donald Trump is so bad at his job. Her lies are just exponentially increased. So he took a shot at Carolyn Leavitt. We have reached out to ABC to inquire about how they plan to hold Terry accountable. That was what she had to say for criticizing the president. But by the way, I thought y'all were all about free speech, man. Republicans are always about free speech, freedom of the press, the First Amendment. But as soon as you start criticizing they start criticizing your guy, that's when, oh, no, but that's a different kind of thing. That's hate speech. Oh, fuck off. You guys are all such bitches, and you can't take any criticism. And when you got somebody like Donald Trump, who is constantly doing some dumbass shit, he's going to get criticized. Republican idea of freedom of speech is I get to do and say whatever I want, and you cannot criticize me. Honey, that's not freedom of speech. Tomorrow, we're going to have a big-ass protest going on all across the country. It's called the No Kings Protest. It's going to be in every major city across the nation. That is freedom of speech. And the one place that the No Kings Protest is not going to be is in Washington, D.C., because Donald Trump just the other day threatened that they are going to be met with force. He said it 3 times in like a 20-second clip. You're going to be met with force. Any protests. He didn't say rioters. He says if there are any protesters that come to my military parade and try to rain on my parade, which, by the way, it's supposed to rain, I hope there's a torrential downpour and it looks as stupid as it actually is. And a lot of Congress members who were supposed to go are not going. I think he's got like Tommy Tuberville and like maybe Marjorie Taylor Greene and a handful of others that are going to go. I hope y'all get soaked like drowned rats, honestly. Anyway, just a reminder of who Stephen Miller is. This guy that is, he's perfectly sound. He's a normal guy. He's not filled with hate. Let's remember, this is him when he was young and in high school, which, by the way, he was prematurely going bald. So yet again, another reason why he didn't have any girls. I mean, we're all kind of speculating that the reason why he's so goddamn angry is because he just can't get laid, which is understandable when you take a look at the guy.
Miller called him to break off their friendship. "I can't be your friend anymore because you are Latino," he said. Miller continued his war against minorities throughout high school. He wrote columns attacking Hispanic students for not speaking English.
Am I the only one who is sick and tired of being told to pick up my trash? And we have plenty of janitors who are paid to do it for us.
Look at that guy. Look at that face. Is that a guy who is fulfilled? Is that a happy dude? Is that a guy who gets ass on the regular? I don't think so, honey. The guy's ugly as homemade sin. You know, I mean, I wouldn't touch him with your dick, honestly. That is one nasty looking dude. And it's not just his looks on the outside. It's what's coming out of his face hole. That is one mean ass young man. And he's filled with darkness and a big old black hole. And now he is trying to turn America into that black hole so he can feel something. You know, when he said, go out there to the 7-Eleven, go out there to the Home Depot. I don't care that you're going after criminals. I want you rounding up everybody. That is a man filled with hate. And I'm not a newscaster for ABC, and I'm not worried about losing my job. That dude is a fascist. He is a bigot, and he is very, very angry and filled with bile and vitriol. Unfortunately, he happens to have the ear of the most powerful man on the planet, and Donald Trump seems to be pretty happy giving him free reign over the White House. So that's an excellent guy to have running our domestic policy and our immigration policy. I can't think of a better person to head up ICE, which, by the way, ICE, it's not been, in our government purview for more than about 2 decades. It is kind of new. It was created after 9/11. And when all of those people back in the day, all of those liberals were saying we should abolish ICE, they were absolutely right. Because look at what we're dealing with now. And from what I hear, everything that has gone on in LA over the last week, Stephen Miller wants done in Seattle, Chicago, New York, Washington. I cannot think of the 5th place, but they're going after 5 large blue metropolitan areas to do heavy ICE raids, trying to instigate protests, which will give Donald Trump the opportunity to send in National Guard there. And then after that, it will escalate further. I'm sure there'll be a couple of rioters and looters, after the protests are over with. And then that will mean the Marines get to go in there. And eventually it's going to get to a point where Donald Trump is just like, fuck it, Insurrection Act, martial law. That's what they want. They want controversy. They want this upheaval so they can take over just completely. I remember hearing Republicans bitch and complain over Joe Biden and all of the things that he was doing. Joe Biden was barely awake for half of his presidency. And the level of drama was pretty far down the list. We were all able to breathe. Every day since Donald Trump has taken over, every single day, from the first day where he pardoned all 1,600 of those insurrectionists that stormed the Capitol and were trying to hang the vice president, which, by the way, there's a lot of speculation that many of those people have been hired by ICE. ICE with visible Nazi tattoos on their arm, where they're covered their faces in balaclavas so you can't see who they are, who are not wearing any insignia, just wearing plain clothes, showing up to schools to question elementary school children, to try to find out where their parents are so they can send them to El Salvador or Guatemala or somewhere, in a third world country, because Stephen Miller hates brown people. And yeah, Terry Moran, by the way, he deleted his post. If they're going to fire you, keep the goddamn post up. You were absolutely right in putting that out. Stephen Miller is a fascist. He's filled with hate and vitriol. And sadly, they're winning. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, please like and subscribe. Keep rocking.